family, today's guest happens to be a very dear friend of mine and her husband, who's now a great friend as well. You know, I met her as Kim Alexander way back in the day at USC. Since then, Kim has had an amazing career, but the highlight of her life, she says, is being married to Cedric Shiner. Cedric's a Texas guy, and guess what? She and Cedric are ranching in Barstow, California. Listen, I even want to share with you, if you go on the internet and you visit Shiner's Gold Star Ranch, you're going to see something like this. They are living the dream life. They're doing so many things right. Here's their picture. Let me share it with you. And if you're listening, you got to go in and find them again at Shiner's Gold Star Ranch. Kim and Cedric are an American movie couple. I mean, I think The Egg and I think about Hepburn and Tracy. I tease them about it all the time. They are two people who you would think are oil and water, but they are more like the moon and the sun, and they just come together to create 24 hours of joy and happiness. So sit back and enjoy them with me right now. I love these guys and feel so privileged to have them join us today.
Joining us right now is one of America's most successful female entrepreneurs.
Special guest speaker today, the first African-American woman
to own a billion-dollar company. Her name is
Janice Bryant Howroyd. She's the founder and CEO of
Act One is one of the largest staffing companies in the United States.
She's now ranked by Forbes as the second wealthiest self-made African-American woman in America, behind only Ms. Oprah Winfrey.
She spent almost 40 years helping others find work.
Janice, great to have you on the show.
Wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much
Wonderful.
for joining us.
Janice, welcome to the program.
Janice, what about your...
Hey, Kim. Hey, Cedric.
Hey, Janice, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and I'm excited because we've been waiting so long to pull this together. I know you guys are ranchers and your time is committed, and you haven't given up your day job either, Kim, but wow, Cedric, it's really great to see the two of you together. I saw you buttoning up your shirt before you came on camera.
He was running in from the ranch, so he had to be a little presentable, at least, to do this.
Listen, girl, I have just been blinging about these eggs. I mean, I didn't even know eggs could taste that different until I tasted yours. And the packaging is just so cute.
Well, you're not the first one to say that, Janice. Let me tell you, we've got stories about the packaging. I went on and I found this packaging and it was such a hit. We've got people that will come to buy our eggs, and if we don't have it in that packaging, they will walk away and say, we'll be back when you get the packaging. So
wow. Well, look, I'm saving my cute packages, okay? So I said, look, if Kim brings them to me in a blanket or whatever, I can put these eggs in this package, but they're just so darn cute. And then when you use them, I mean, I've done different egg recipes and they are just, I don't know how to describe the difference in the taste. It's just wow. And you know, it's not like I've been eating those hotbed commercial eggs, but it's just something different about these. Are some of the vendors saying the same thing, or are you just selling direct to individuals?
Direct.
We're selling direct
to individuals.
We do certified. We're a certified egg handler for farmers markets. So we do several farmers markets in our area. And we also have a small, my cousin has a restaurant in Glendale, and we've been servicing him for eggs. So, you know, he's a small sort of family restaurant. And we have private clients. We've got people that are trainers and that buy flats from us and want to use the eggs. You know, keto, these keto diets are all the rave. So we've got people that buy the eggs from us. And you're right, they're fresh. They're very different tasting. And there's a reason for that. You know, when you're getting our eggs, they're usually gathered 1 or 2 days before, no more than a week, right? When you go to the grocery store, even if they say organic, they've been sitting on somebody's shelf and they've been in the delivery process, right? So you don't know how long they're sitting on the shelves when you get the eggs in the store.
You know, Kim, I think people probably are accustomed to eating old eggs, and so they don't know what a fresh egg tastes like, because it blew my mind. And when you said that, I thought, yeah, she's probably right there, because you know, for most of my adulthood, I think all I've eaten, I bought from farmers markets, but I think all I've eaten have been eggs that have gone through a journey to get to me.
Absolutely.
On average, the eggs in the store are probably anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks old, because the processing plant gets them in and they cold store them, and they have to have a sell-by date 30 days from the date it's crated. So not necessarily the day it's laid. So sometimes they're not as fresh as you think they are.
Yeah. Well, look, you got more than eggs out there, though, right?
We do. We have some pigs,
and we're hoping to get some goats and some cows in the near future.
Oh, listen now. So with the pigs, I know you're selling produce, right? You're selling meat, I should say. With the goats, is that going to be milk and stuff, or are you going to sell the meat as well?
It's going to meat and milk.
Oh, that's going to be awesome, because I know a lot of people who use goat in their recipes. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. What's that ranch look like? I haven't gotten a chance to get out there with COVID. I'm so bummed. I know you've invited me.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. Let me tell you, we've got about 5 acres. And we have a couple of coops, you know, coop house 1 and 2, and a lot of, you know, some green, but a lot of dirt.
It's real, you know, it's real dry out there during the summer months, but the fall and the spring, you know, we have a lot of.
It's in Barstow, right? Or around that area between LA and Vegas?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But wow. You know what?
Stuff grows out there if it gets wet.
Yeah, but I know you were telling me when we saw each other recently, you mentioned that we would be surprised at the difference in the production that an egg, that a chicken has for eggs, based on light, based on weather, all the things that you take into consideration that make you have to tell people you don't got no eggs right now.
Yeah, you know, Barstow was really a blessing. We came into the land, you know, through a friend of a friend. It was 5 acres, really, you know, nothing on it. And he said, you know, whatever, if you want to do something with it, I just want to see life back on it. So he had inherited from his grandfather and didn't want to deal with it. So he gave it to us, really, technically. And we said, well, we're going to do something with it. Wow. So really, it's been our learning lab through this process. You know, I call it our learning lab, right? Where we go out there and we've been fine tuning and trying things, and, you know, everything from what the chickens will tolerate. We know the weather in Barstow's pretty temperamental, can get really, really hot in triple digits, and they can get really, really cold. So we've been testing little things with lights, but the most natural things that we can find to do to really, you know, make sure the chickens are loved and taken care of, you know, from putting lavender in the coops, you know, so they can feel rested.
Oh my God. Your chickens I thought dogs had it right.
That's my contribution, Janice.
You're letting her put lavender in your coops for your chickens.
Well, the happier the chicken, the better they lay.
Okay. I ain't gonna mess with that. Okay.
When they're happy.
Hey, Kim, speaking of happy chicks, girl, you look pretty happy there sitting there with Cedric. I can't believe it.
This is my country boy, you know.
You are a rancher, a black rancher.
When we met, he was a peace officer. He retired 5 years ago. And when he shared with me, this has always been his dream. And he said, you know, you're the woman I know that will support this, right? And I said, absolutely, I will. So the truth is, you know, I'm more of the spa girl and the beach, and, you know, I'm a city girl. But, you know, he came by way of Texas, grew up in New Mexico. He worked on a ranch. His uncle had a ranch, and he just always remembered that and said he wanted to do it. So it's unusual, I think, in Southern California to find Black ranchers, Black farmers. So yeah, and when I tell people, you know, I work in a university, and when I tell people I have an organic egg farm, they are just tickled to death about it.
Well, you know, as was I. Come on now, I've known you how many years? I mean, I knew you back in the day when Kay and Brett were over at SC, and then you moved over to San Bernardino, and it's like I've admired your career as a professional and get kind of nervous when I have to speak with you beyond, hey girl, how you doing? And now you're sitting there beside a rancher. Wow.
Yeah,
I have to tell you, looking at the two of you, Cedric, I don't know if it, like I'm an old movie buff, and there's a movie called The Egg and I with Claudette Colbert and Fred McMurray. Okay, look, over the weekend, you got to find that movie somewhere and watch it.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, Claudette Colbert is this young, hot city chick, kind of like you, Kim. And Fred McMurray's dreamed of having a chicken ranch.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just a romantic romp to watch that movie. And when I see you guys, I'm like, here's a living, breathing version of the egg and I right in front of me, and it's in color. It's in living color.
Goodness. That is too funny.
I just want to bring my camera out there and follow you guys around for a day. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Can I come?
Please, you have an open invitation. And like I said, be ready to put your boots on, because a lot of
Which ones?
Sandy out there, but it's getting better. The season's changing.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But you know what? If we unpack a lot of what you're talking about, it really is so teaching, because you know, a lot of my family, you know, my audience is my family. So many of them are millennial and younger, and if you think about it, the importance of what you're doing and respecting the land and allowing the animals to breed naturally, and organic really means organic. Chickens go to sleep when it gets dark. I think, Cedric, you were telling me, weren't you giving me a lesson on how your chickens don't give eggs as often in a day because you're not forcing light on them, and you have shorter daylight? But what's that about?
Well, during the wintertime, the days get shorter, but a chicken needs at least 12 to 14 hours of sunlight to stay in egg laying mode. Days get shorter, that's their cue to shut down. And a lot of them, they'll go into a molt, which that means they shed feathers and replace feathers and get ready for the spring.
And then you get the spring chickens like Kim and me.
But they do lay in the winter. It's just sometimes it shuts down to nothing, and sometimes it's not as frequent.
But you're not prepared to force it in order to get something to market.
No, I don't force them, because right now we're really in a slump production-wise. Like we have 235 chickens in one coop, and we're getting right now about 40 eggs a day.
Okay, all right. So you truly are respecting nature.
Yeah, we are. And you know, the commercial folks, you know, they will have them under lights, you know, all day or a very long period of the day. And you know, we don't believe that's healthy, really, and humane for the chickens. So, you know, happy chickens lay great eggs. So.
And it actually,
hey. Well, I can tell you one thing. I have a cousin in Yorkshire, England, who shared something, and I was reading it, that he knew chickens who had never touched the ground.
Cage birds, yeah.
I know that you guys aren't out to make any environmental statement in terms of you know, politics, but in your own natural life, it's just so beautiful to see you respecting the land. I think about where I am here in LA, and there's so many kids who've never seen the beach or don't know anything about food production. And we've got some of the best year-round weather you could imagine. Kim, you had talked about maybe that ranch becoming a place for kids to do summer ranch camps and stuff. And, you know, where you live, that has a lot more summer than some folks back east get. What's with that?
Yeah, you know, and I think being in education, higher ed, and in advancement, I've been thinking more and more about really, you know, the connection to the land as Black people, right? You know, and thinking about our ancestors and, you know, their connection to the land, and also how we make our farm, you know, a resource for the community and for kids to come out and really visit and touch and feel and learn about the animals. I mean, truly, that's how kids really learn. And I think you're right, Janice. You know, I work in a university environment, and we have college kids that have never left the area, never seen a beach, never, you know, so I just think it's important that while we certainly want to, you know, have a thriving business, we also, I think, for me, I love the part of sort of the nonprofit part of it, right? And how we can really be a resource for the community and give back. So we're not looking to, at least I don't think we are, honey, to be a big commercial operation, but I do think we want to.
You're not going for the 40 acres and the mule they promise you. You happy with your 5 acres?
Yeah, I mean, and we may like a little bit more acreage, maybe up to 20 acres, because we have some thoughts about, you know, maybe creating, doing fruits and having people be able to walk on and pick their own fruit, you know, get eggs. I'm thinking about a lavender and a mint farm to really, you know, my passion is around.
Okay, there's the city girl coming back in.
You know, the spa, but it's important. I think, you know, using herbs to really make products, you know, that you know, make us feel good and happy and healthy. So my city spin on it, but we'd like to grow it a little bit in that way.
I would like to run about 20 head of cattle, you know, on a regular basis. And I probably need more acreage, but I'd want to run low-line Angus, which are a smaller breed of Angus, but actually have 100% genetics. But you can run about 2 of those to an acre. So with 20 acres, I could run about 10 head. And if I rotational graze, probably 20.
Wow. Wow. You guys are really into this ranching. That is awesome. How, Kim, okay, so Cedric was a peace officer.
Yes.
Did you meet while he was a peace officer?
Yes.
And then you guys did this ranch, I think you told me.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We dated, we met, and we dated for 2 years, got engaged. We've been married for 5. But all along he kind of shared with me, he was planning to retire. And, you know, when we came into the land, it just presented the opportunity for us to just jump into this. We've been talking about it for about a year. And then again, we came into the land and it was like, well, let's just do it. Let's try it.
I told her about it as soon as we met.
Yeah.
But at that time I was still working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do nothing with it, but I had been, you know, researching, looking online for properties and opportunities and stuff like that. But it didn't really happen until 2017.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you guys get a lot of questions about being Black ranchers or just ranchers, period? I mean, where are the questions coming to you?
A lot of people wonder how I came to that, but actually I'm a Texas transplant. You know, I was born in Texas, raised in Texas, New Mexico, and I didn't come out here till 86 when I was stationed out here when I was in the Air Force. And I decided to stay, but, you know, my way of being and my heart has always been from Texas. So I just wanted to bring a little Texas to California.
So Janet, I'll tell you a cute story. When we went to go do our engagement pictures, you know, I said, I'm gonna do something for him. So we did sort of this cowboy and cowgirl theme. So I went out and bought me a pair of red boots, cowgirl boots, and, you know, we had our hats on. And so that was my contribution to helping him, live his dream a little bit. And then,
Yeah, but Kim, I saw those red boots and they were far too chic in my mind for you to be running around a chicken coop and following pigs in the yard.
I learned that later. Trust me, I learned that later.
Well, see, in Texas and New Mexico, you'll see Black people in cowboy boots and cowboy hats. And I was out here in California for years and I've never seen it. I hardly seen it. I may have seen a brother or two with a cowboy hat on and boots, but it's far and few between. Yeah. But back home, it was like Uncle Louie had it, Uncle Joe, all of them. Cowboy boots and cowboy hats,
But how long have you been out of Texas, Cedric?
I've been out. I've been out of Texas most of my life.
So here's the thing.
I've been in California since '86.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You're learning a lot about that land and you're teaching yourself a lot about ranching. I mean, I know we're laughing and it's got to be a hoot and a lot of fun for you in a lot of ways, but I imagine you really had to be determined and put some lessons in underneath as well.
Bought a few books, My Uncle Louie, when I was young, I went to Uncle Louie's ranch in the summer.
Hey, wait a minute, I thought Uncle Louie was something you made up, like we say, Baby
no,
and
he's
them.
Real.
Uncle Louie really is Uncle Louie.
Uncle Louie Mayberry. That's his last.
Oh, come on, you're kidding me.
Uncle Louie Mayberry.
Uncle Louie Mayberry is a Black rancher in Texas.
Mm-hmm. He was a World War II veteran.
Forget y'all. Can I take my camera out to visit Uncle Louie?
He had 40 plus acres, I believe, at the time. Had white-faced Herefords and chickens. He grew his own grapes, made his own wine, had his own gardens. And my dad was in the service, so when we took 30 days leave, we'd go to Texas. And where I did was spend most of all my days, like 30 days or however long we was out there with Uncle Louie at the farm, at the ranch. Yeah. He had the old Coke bottle machine, where you put your money in, you had to slide it through the maze to get it out. He had one of those on his porch.
My goodness!
He died in 1990 when I was first stationed out here, in George Air Force Base in Victorville.
Oh my goodness! But listen, this idea though of this ranch and giving back to the community and having kids be able to come. Kim, didn't you tell me some parents have already brought some kids out there?
Yeah, we had families come out that we met out at the farmers market we do. And, they have already, they brought their kids out to pick the pig they wanted to butcher. And I was nervous and I said, because they were little kids, right? And, they said, oh no, we're going to get bacon. And I thought the kids would be just traumatized by having to pick their own pig that's going to be butchered, right? Mm-hmm. No, they loved it. And since we've been in touch with that family, and the fathers had to go and buy him a cowboy hat, and he said he wants to be a rancher.
Oh, that's too cute.
I gave him a little we get a magazine called a Cattleman magazine, and I gave him an old copy. And the next thing I know, his dad sends me a picture with him looking at the magazine with a cowboy hat. Now he's ready to be a cowboy.
I can imagine a lot of adults would love to do some ranching as well,
Yeah, we've thought about too, because again, we're a small operation. Cedric pretty much runs it and does the work. And, our son, he's 26, he comes out and helps. We have a part-time,
I have a part-time hand out there
that lives in the area that helps, but pretty much, it's Cedric. Now I really go out just to once in a while take note so I can determine just set up things we need to do, marketing. I'd like to have great setups at the farmers market, and you get a kick out.
Bring the lavender.
Right, exactly. But I did purchase a 5 foot, was it 6 foot? Rooster metal that was custom made. And we had it out at the farmers markets. And I'm going to tell you, you talk about the packaging, they love that rooster because the kids would come and take pictures with Rudy. And it was an amazing sculpted piece. I mean, it was just gorgeous. So I do things like that, Janice. I don't do the hard work.
Well, listen, how do you guys are Claudette Colbert, Fred McMurray. You're Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. I mean, you guys, how did you grow up?
Well, I grew up, both of us really grew up with both our parents and teaching us about hard work, good values, being very family oriented. This is something we think, we'd love to just leave for our kids to take on and continue. And we're starting it a little bit later in life, but I don't think it's too late, right? And as I think about how my exit strategy from, higher ed, I'd like something comfortable to go to, and I still want to do things, right? So
yeah, I always envisioned you in a penthouse suite downtown LA, in the heart of the city, your driver waiting for you, Kim. I mean, you were always suited up and walking across campus in a professional role, and everybody coming up to Mrs. Shiner, and, you out on the ranch.
I'm not a country boy. Now I got to play the part. So,
oh my God, what love can do.
Yeah, I still think I'm going to definitely be involved. I do a lot around women leadership development and, women's causes. So, I'm still always going to be involved, right?
Kim, were your parents strong advocates for civil rights or women or any of that? Did you get it in the blood?
I did. My uncle on my dad's side, my great uncle, was a longtime councilman in Los Angeles. His name was Gilbert Lindsay. You may know the name. And, grew up with that example. My grandmother, who's 95 and still going strong, was a commissioner for HACLA and a lobbyist around housing and that sort of thing. And she, it was special, she has counseled a lot of public servants and people in government in LA. And you were special if you got an invitation to grandma's house for gumbo, right? I was around, Maxine Waters when she was new in her career. I was around a lot of different people. My cousin is a councilman in Los Angeles now and has been in the Senate. So it's in my blood, You
knew Auntie Maxie before she was Auntie.
Yeah, she's a very close friend of my grandmother's and our family. In fact, she even flew in from DC to come to my mom's funeral a couple years ago. There was a lot going on in DC, but she came and paid her respects and, just loves my grandmother and our family. So I grew up around that. So that's—
Do you think that's what motivated you to lean in on the development and the outreach for higher education? Because I know a lot of people, but I know few people who reach the echelon of service that you give to schools, especially with your pedigree.
Yeah, I think so. I think what I believe is that, government can only do so much, but I think philanthropy is really a way to advance things. And I believe in philanthropy in any small way that I can give back, volunteering, mentoring, so I definitely have that in my blood, and that will always be. And I think that's why, when I think about the ranch and the blessing we have from getting this land and really the connection to it, I think, I think about our ancestors and what that meant to have some land, right? So having land and that sort of thing is wealth for people. That's how people generate, long-time wealth. And, when I think about the Black community, we haven't always done that, right? But I also think about the importance of how do we give back with this ranch, right? So that's why I talked about the idea of making it a tool and a resource for the community, for kids to come and learn. So I'm putting my spin on it because of my background, and he's definitely coming, with the country, like I want to get my hands dirty and, just work the land and see it grow and develop. So I think it's a good match. It seems different, but it works.
I totally get it. I mean, when you were talking about owning the land and the connection to it, I know when I was growing up, a little girl in Tarboro, North Carolina, Mom and Dad would always teach us so many lessons that, you know, honestly, I built my company on many of their principles. But one of the things I remember them telling us, and particularly around this time, is, you know, you need to own your house and cast your vote. And Dad always insisted that home ownership, which you're saying land, right? Home ownership was one of the greatest forms of currency you could have. He wouldn't encourage you to borrow against your house, but he did insist that owning a house enabled you to borrow and borrow responsibly. And the other thing they taught us was your vote is one of your strongest currencies, you know, and they taught us to be responsible voters. Dad would say every time they voted, it didn't matter what they vote. If dog catcher was on the ballot, they were going to check out every dog catcher and their history and who did they know and how did they behave, because he felt that, he said, you shouldn't waste your vote any more than you waste your money. It is one of your strongest currencies. And so, yeah, I get what you're saying. And I get this city country kind of connection. I'm a country girl who moved to the city. Right. Cedric, how did you grow up?
Well, you know, I was an Air Force brat. My dad was in the service. He did 20 years, but when he retired, he became a minister. He was a Baptist minister for 23 years. So I grew up as a pastor's kid, you know, and, you know, that's a little bit different life than some other, you know, there's a little restrictions to that, you know. And I do. And he was a community activist, you know. He was in Roswell, New Mexico at the time. There was, I think they call it the Martin Luther King Commission. So he worked with the city officials to try to create opportunities for Blacks and minorities in the city of Roswell, New Mexico back in the day. So, you know, we always had to kind of walk a certain lifestyle, you know, that wouldn't contradict what he preached about on Sunday mornings. But
and how many brothers and sisters?
I have 4 sisters and a brother, so it's 6 of us. And,
that's a half dozen in egg talk, right?
Yeah, half dozen.
In egg talk, that's half dozen.
But education was important to my parents. Everybody had to go to school, and voting was a major thing. You know, when we all reached the age to vote, Mom and Dad made sure, because, you know, we always heard coming up how many people died and lost their lives for the right. So don't squander it or waste it or take it lightly once you know, get an opportunity and get old enough to vote.
Right. And I mean, that's the conversation we're having today as well, isn't it? No matter where you are politically, everybody's concerned about their vote being counted, aren't they?
Yes, definitely.
You know, Kim, when I first met you, you were stepping around USC's campus, and one of the things you told me was, I totally get that you're into supporting Black schools. I want you to know that there are a lot of Black kids on this campus who need support as well. And your whole integration into education has been about all the students. I've seen the white students, the Black students, the brown, the red. I've seen the kids who are still identifying. I've seen those who firmly identified against their parents' wishes. All of them, for some reason, they just love Miss Shiner. What is it that you're giving these kids that makes them so attractive?
Well, I think I'm authentic. You know, I don't believe that I've had to be a certain way to advance. My grandmother used to tell me, you know, you put your pants on, just, you know, academia is very male oriented, very white male driven, in fact, right? And so I've always been the only woman or the only Black woman in my at my level. And she used to tell me, you know, they put their pants on just like you when you want to wear them. So, you know, don't go out there and feel intimidated, you know, just be who you are, be authentic. I think people can see the passion and, you know, authenticity, you know, when I speak to them. You know, you know, I've been in fundraising and educational advancement for 22 years now. And some people liking it to sales and I don't like that analogy at all. I really believe I'm a facilitator and an educator to really help people who want to be philanthropic, help them facilitate that process. And I bring awareness and educate. And so I think people can just see that I'm authentic, I'm genuine, and I'm passionate, and I believe in what I'm doing. I won't do anything or any job if I don't believe in it and if I'm not passionate about it. And if it doesn't align with my personal values, right? So that's really big for me. And I think people have been able to see that. And that's just how I've lived personally and professionally.
Well, I'm so glad that this offers a platform for you and Cedric, that mindset, because, you know, so much of our family, our audience are young people, and the ability to hear you speak so emphatically about that and bringing you to what you do. And, you know, another thing that I've noticed is that you're not judgmental at all. I mean, the array of friendships, the relationships you have that are genuine relationships, and people couldn't be more different if they tried from each other. I don't know, but you've got that connector in you. And I've come to think it must be because people don't feel judgment from you.
I appreciate that, Janice. You know, my family was one that embraced people. I'd bring a family friend home and they were hugging them and treating them like family right off, you know, because I guess they figured if you brought them home, they had to be okay, right? So they just treated people like that. We were used to inviting, you know, a friend that maybe didn't have a mother to our Mother's Day brunch, right? Or what have you. So I just grew up that way. And, you know, I believe in diversity, you know, but I definitely, you know, people who know me know I'm going to fight the good fight, you know. For Black people, I identify as being a Black person. You know, I was raised by a Black family.
Although when folks see you, they don't know what you are.
Yeah, I've had a few of those too. So, you know, some surprised by that as well, you know, but that's okay, you know.
When I first saw her, I didn't know who she was. I know who she was. I didn't know if she was Hawaiian, Puerto Rican. I didn't know.
Yeah, and Cedric, but you were still attracted. Part of that is because of who you are, and you're not putting rings around yourself based on color. And part of it's because of who she is, because there's just this thing about Miss Shiner that you just feel drawn to her. I mean, you know, you're talking to somebody who's probably far more brilliant than you're ever going to be, but she has this earthiness of, maybe that's why she happy out on that ranch. She has this earthiness about her that says, look, okay, I'm smart. I'm not apologizing for that. Come on, baby, tell me what you need. You know, I get that.
That's interesting. You say that. That's interesting. You know, it's funny. You know, before I met Cedric, you know, I'd been divorced, right, for like 10 years and met a few gentlemen here and there. And I can tell you that, you know, I met a few frogs, but a lot of them, the consistent theme was they felt intimidated by me. I'd actually have men say to me who had great jobs and, you know, I thought they were great people. Well, you probably make more money than me, or, you know, and I thought, wow, you're hung up on that. Cause I figure, you know, if you come together, it's all in one pot. That's how I grew up. Right. Mm-hmm. When I met Cedric, I mean, great job, great career. We just connected, and he never made me feel like I needed to apologize for where I was in my career. He never made me feel like I needed to hold back. You know, he's like, I don't mind being in the background, go for yours, because he knew that I was going to support him in his dreams. And so it just works. It really does.
And that country boy in him said, I know who I am.
Well, you know what?
It was a refreshing change.
It was a change
from my past.
Oh, wow. Cedric, please just say that again, because, you know, typically these conversations lean in for young women and their self-esteem. You know, so much of our conversations are around minorities and diversity, which oftentimes means anything but a white man. But, you know, a lot of conversation is about the Black man right now as well. And I think it's a lesson for everybody, not just Black people. You're such a brilliant role model. And, you know, like, I hate it when people throw that at me. You're a role model for this, a role model for that. I'm like, can I just live? The fact that you are just living, and you're living so well, and you're respectful of the woman in your life, I think that transcends color. Please talk with us about what that journey was like for you to get there. Were you raised that way? Or, I mean, what helped you to sit there, equal partners with the woman, and say, it's refreshing for me to take off, you know, that male jacket thing?
Well, you know, my mom and dad was the example that I had, because they were a true team. You know, dad was handling certain areas, my mom handled certain areas, and neither one of them had that little tension or who's the man, who's the woman. It was like my mom, she would pick up a hammer and nail, work on a car, knock out a wall, put in a door. She would do, you know, my dad was gone a lot, you know, in the service during the Vietnam era. He was gone on several times a year at a time, and they clicked together, they worked together, and it was like, you know, it was like a true team, a true partnership. And it was no, you know, intimidation, you know, because my mom was educated, my dad was educated, and they worked together equally. And it was always like that, because I believe, you know, our religious background is, you know, a man and a woman, it's a helpmate, not a helper. You know, you help each other. And it's always been like that. And we've always seen that in our parents. So
that's brilliant. Your parents were really kind of exceptional, because not only do I hear oftentimes that academia is riddled with, you know, chauvinism, but I hear, you know, very often people accuse the church of being that way too.
Yeah.
And your parents weren't doing that.
Yeah, my parents were never judgmental. You know, we accepted everybody. My mom was a foster parent. After she raised 6 kids, she raised 12 foster kids after we've grown and gone. And we took in a lot of people through the years. You know, my dad was always helping out and reaching and putting his neck out for others with no reservation or hesitation.
And now here you guys, after incredibly successful careers, and Kim, you still are living the dream on a ranch. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. We're doing it together. And again, I think, you know, the kids all enjoy it. They come out and help. You know, we're almost empty nesters. We have a 12-year-old still at home. So, you know, she loves the ranch and is out there. Yeah, it's his shadow for sure. But, you know, again, we'd hope that, you know, when we're not here, it's something that the kids will want to continue. And, you know, we built a legacy. But right now, we're just enjoying it. And yeah.
My son said he'll take up the torch or something.
Well, that's good.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
He would take up the torch.
My daughter's too much like me. I don't see her taking it on. So.
Hey, look, she might come out for the lavender
Yes,
bath.
she did tell me that. She said, if you then I'm all in.
You know what? We got to do the 4 for 4, okay? So here we go.
All right.
And look, we got both of y'all, so each of y'all, okay? So who's going first?
I'll go first.
Okay, there she is, jumping brave. Kim, you get to invite 4 people from any point in history you know, living or dead, to dinner. Who are those 4 people and why?
So, wow, that's interesting. Well, I'm gonna go for a 2 for a couple, Barack and Michelle Obama. I had the pleasure of actually meeting former President Obama with you, Janice.
Yes, you did.
But, you know, it was a very brief meeting, you know, and hello. I just love to sit down and talk with them about their experience being leaders of the free world, right? And, you know, we sort of know from the outside all they might have gone through, but to really have a more intimate conversation with them about how they got through that, right? And what came with that. And just, you know, I'd like to just be in the weeds a little bit with them about that. I just admire and respect them as a couple so much, and beyond the presidency, what they're doing now in Chicago and in the community through their foundation. Listen, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, but my 95-year-old grandmother, I don't have a lot of more time with her. I mean, who knows, but I'm gonna tell you, she has so many stories inside of her that I don't even know if I can get to them all. And here's a woman that, you know, was born in Arkansas, grew up in Louisiana, moved to California in the 40s, you know, bought a home in Watts, really one of the few places Blacks could live and buy at the time. And no education, didn't finish high school, but ended up going on to really become a public servant. You know, she created the motto to protect and serve that's on all the police cars, and she's just an amazing woman. So I invite her to that dinner for sure, just to have time, more story time. And the fourth person, who would that be? Boy, that's tough. It used to be, I really wanted to meet Oprah Winfrey and talk to her just about, you know, I was a journalism major, and, you know, her sort of trajectory in journalism. I'm not certain she'd be the fourth person now. There's just, the world has changed so much. But I might have to give that some thought for sure on the fourth person. But for sure, those three, I think.
Well, you think about that fourth, and I'll flip it to Cedric, who's coming. Guess who's coming to dinner, Cedric?
How far back can we go?
You can go any point you want. I mean, you can go back, you know, prehistoric, Cro-Magnon.
Okay, well,
Jesus.
Like her, you know, I never met Obama, but I'd like to meet Michelle and Barack. They would be invited for sure, especially being the first Black president. I would like to hear the stories he can't tell, you know, the stories behind the scene, you know, we called it back in the day, war dogs. I want to hear the stuff that, you know, that the news and the public didn't necessarily hear about his experience as president. And then I'll reach way back, and I've always had a curiosity about Harriet Tubman and her, you know, on those missions, saving, you know, slaves and take them to the North. I would like to get a rundown on the whole system, how it worked, and how did she get away with it for so long and never got caught. And then her, after the, you know, her time working with the government and being you know, she took over some things, you know, she was like, it was just amazing some of the things I read about what she accomplished back in those days and the confidence that the United States government had in her, and when she did some other things for the government. So you know, that's one of the three. And then number four, it would probably be well, Jesus.
Did you say Jesus?
Yeah,
I did.
Jesus is always there. He's that fifth person that's always there.
No, he might be my fourth.
But, yeah.
I have some questions for him.
You want Jesus the man, right?
Jesus the man.
Yeah,
he's in my life, right? But I mean, Jesus the man. What would that walk like, really? You know, like if you could talk to him and really know internally what that journey was like, right?
Or know what happened as a little boy. But that's your fourth. Cedric didn't say that was his fourth. Jesus was at his table every day because he was a PK.
So my fourth would probably be you know what? There's a lot of people, but, you know, I must say Bob Marley. I never got a chance to see him in concert, you know, and I'm listening.
You gonna make Bob Marley sing for his dinner?
Out of curiosity, I would invite him to dinner.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, so we got 1 for 4. Let's go to 2 for 4. Okay. What are the 4 things you want, understanding that so many of our family listening right now are young people under 35 years old? I mean, you know, many of us have minds and energies that are there, but what are the 4 things that you really want to share or teach, or that have been taught to you that you want to give forward?
Sure. I would say, I think it's really important for them to embrace innovation and creativity in everything that they seek to do. You know, we just have to reinvent ourselves over and over again now. It's not, you know, as we advance, you know, times are changing so fast, right? And it's hard to just sort of sit in a place and just do a job, you know, for 30 years. So be open to innovation and creativity. I would say really love what you do. Try to find something you're really passionate about. I would also add,
innovate, love what you do.
Yeah, love what you do. I would also say, for me, it's really important to think about giving back. Be in service to your community and to give back. You know, we may not have a lot of money, right? But you can give your time, you can mentor somebody, you can pass down the wisdom that was shared with you. So I think that's really important to do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this is probably a no-brainer, but education's important. Whether it's formal or informal, some form of education. Continue to always be a student and a learner.
Keep learning.
Keep learning, absolutely.
I love those 4 so much, Kim.
Thank you.
Cedric, what about you? What are the lessons, the 4 lessons you're going to share with us?
Tolerance is one. Mm-hmm. Tolerance, I believe everybody needs to learn that. Acceptance, you know, we live in a country that's from all walks of life, different, you know, but way I grew up, we accepted everybody. It didn't matter if you know, your color, your religious practices or whatever, we accepted everybody. We didn't discriminate. And I think that's a lesson that we all, the young folks, need to learn, or, you know, and if being a Christian, that's supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, you know, accept everybody. So I think acceptance and
tolerance, acceptance,
and education is important, because you can't teach what you do not know, and you cannot lead where you do not go. So for us to pass that down to the kids, we have to have been educated. We would have to have been a follower of a true leader, so we could pass down that knowledge and wisdom to them. So education is important, and I'm gonna say love. We just need to love one another, you know?
Wow.
Without condition. Not because you do for me, or not because you're rich, and not because you're that, but just because we're all humans. We're all on the same planet.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Look, those lessons. Ooh. Manifested.
See why I love him? He's so.
Oh my God. Oh my God, girl. Hey, look, I saw that earlier, but I'm just enjoying the visit, honey. I saw that earlier, but I ain't gonna tell him. I don't want to blow his head up.
I know,
right? Cedric, this one, we start with you first. What are the 4 books that you are recommending people read?
Your book.
Oh, okay. Acting up. Yeah. I see why you love him, Kim.
That's one.
And my other book. That's two. No, I'm joking.
That's two.
Right?
Let's see.
The Art of Work.
The Bible. If you're a believer.
Yeah.
That's three. That's
There's
three.
a lot of life lessons in there. You'll never, so that's three. And then there's a lot of books, but there's a book that I must say, it was at a time in my life, it was a simple book that was an easy, quick read. It was by the guy who launched Primerica. And it was a book called All You Can Do Is All You Can Do.
Mm-hmm.
Read that at a point in my life. It really helped me to stop trying to do more than I can do. And it was just a book that helped me at the time. So, and I always remembered the lessons in that book. All you can do is all you can do.
Wow.
You can do, that's all you can do.
And Kim, thanks, Cedric. Kim, what are you for?
Well, he took at least one of mine, two of mine. I was going to say the Bible for sure. I think there are a lot of lessons that can be applied. And, it just calms me, to sort of read through the Bible. And, and I was going to say your book, Janice, because it's a great read. It's humorous. It's, it's just really a great read and practical, so I would certainly encourage people to get that. I really enjoy Michelle Obama's Becoming. It was so well written. I didn't even realize, she's a very prolific speaker and all that, but when the book was written, it was like, wow, and it was just great stories. You really got a sense of what her life was like and going through her life's journey. There's a new book that I'm looking at now. I just ordered it and it just seems so interesting. And it's a new book on C.J. Madam Walker. And it's
oh my goodness, Madam C.J. Walker.
Yeah, it's about the the beginnings of Black philanthropy in a Jim Crow era, right? And so we know her story. But I said, the guy that authored the book, he's a professor at Indiana University, and he teaches in their PhD program in philanthropic studies. And I've been following him because I'm actually looking at pursuing my PhD in philanthropy. And so I've been following him, and when I saw he was coming out with this book, I was like, this is on my watch list. It came out in October, so I ordered it. And so I'm really looking to dive into that. So that's one that's on the top of
and she's one of my sheroes, so that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
I invite her to dinner because I'm like, oh, that would be a good conversation.
Oh my goodness, could she tell us some stuff?
Oh, I bet she could, right?
Yeah. I mean, you think about that timeline of her life, incredible change.
And she was innovative, right? She made lemonade out of,
out of seeds. She didn't even have the lemons, the seeds.
She didn't have a lemon, yeah, she just had the seeds. So.
But listen, okay, we're going 4 for 4 now. Okay. Cedric, what are you listening to musically?
Ooh, on the top of my list, Bob Marley.
Oh, could we not have guessed that? Why? You got to say what and why.
Because if you listen to a lot of his music, it's relevant today and what we're dealing with in this country. The inequality and in the racial tensions and justice for all and stuff. So I've always been a Bob Marley fan. So, but when I'm listening, I listen to him the majority of the time. And then when the next one I like to listen to when I want to get pumped up for the day, music kind of gets you going, is Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, wow. My mom is an EWF fan.
Yeah.
So Earth, Wind, and Fire, their music never gets old. It's transcend generations, and people still loving it. They're still playing it. And let's see, who else? I listen to a little Jay-Z, I like his style,
Why not? You're a preacher's kid. Why not?
And I love gospel music, and I listen to a lot of different artists in gospel, but I really like some of the old school artists like Shirley Caesar.
Oh my God.
James Cleveland.
Oh my goodness. Shirley Caesar. No Charge.
Yes. Yeah.
James Cleveland. I ain't no ways tired.
Mahalia Jackson. Andre.
Oh yes. You listen to Andre Crouch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just was talking earlier about Andre Crouch's album back when they had vinyl, right? When we were spinning vinyl. And it just, I mean, he ministered a lot to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
So I think that's 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4. Yeah, that's 4. And that's a powerful 4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Andre Crouch album I was thinking about was Take Me Back.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one right there. Take Me Back.
Yeah. Okay, Miss Kim, what you listening to?
Well, first, let me say that Cedric and I inherited a lot of vinyl. We have albums all over. We've got 2 record players, so we break out that vinyl. So
my daughter would love you. She loves her vinyl as well.
He's making a comeback for sure with the young folks, right? So we pull it out once in a while and listen. But I would say, I really like jazz and, contemporary jazz and stuff, but I grew up listening to this pianist that I loved. My mom and dad loved him and played him all the time, Alex Bugnon. Loved, his album. So I listened to that. I listened to, I like a lot of the oldies, and I just grew up in a house where they'd have like the house parties and break out the albums and the music. So I really love Gladys Knight and the Pit.
And did you see her on Versus with
Patti LaBelle, right?
Yes, but listen, come on, give it to Miss Gladys.
I know.
She stood up, she sang a cappella. Yes. She is in such great voice. Yes. They just got to give her a room. They got to give her a room.
I love her voice. She just, oh my goodness. So and
she grew up in gospel.
Yeah, she did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fantasized that somewhere we were related. My mother's maiden name is Knight. She and Miss Gladys look alike. I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. We related somewhere.
That's right. And if I have to think about kind of current stuff I like a lot of voices that are raspy and soulful. So I really love Leela James.
Yeah. And she does a lot of the old songs as well.
She does Etta James. She does just a lot of stuff. I love her voice. And I also love Anthony Hamilton.
Oh my goodness. North Carolina. North Carolina. Yeah, I mean, when you listen to him, it's like you're listening to music from way back, isn't it?
He's just a throwback, right? So I really, I can do the new stuff and hip hop, rap and all that. But Cedric will tell you, my playlists are largely just old voices, old school, that sort of stuff. When
we saw each other, you were the one who pulled out the music for me to get my makeup done, weren't you?
Kim.
You pulled out Kim. Hello, Kim.
Yes, I love Kim too.
Oh my goodness. Just talking with you guys is musical for me. I have enjoyed this so much. Come on now, you guys, Hepburn and Tracy.
We gotta order that. We're gonna watch that.
Claudette Colbert. And you gotta get the Egg and I, okay? Just watch it, okay? If you can get with the black and white, the old movies, just watch it, okay?
Love that. We are gonna do that, Janice, this weekend.
And then, you know what? I'm gonna check back in with you guys because I gotta come out. I gotta visit the ranch, and in my head, Kim, I'm thinking we're gonna write children's books and we're gonna do children's story videos and we're gonna do them right there on the ranch.
Hey, absolutely. We, like I said, open invitation. Don't wear your glam, your red boots, right? But make sure something that like a rain boot or slicker.
I'll wear my British Wellingtons.
We can wash off for sure.
I can walk through the muck and I can rinse them off.
Yes,
I'll wear my
absolutely.
wellies. But you know what? It's going to take me a minute to rinse off this glow I'm feeling from you guys. You are such a beautiful love story. I am so in love with who you are, how you are living, and I am filled with gratitude that you visited with us today and just kept it so plain, so simple, so beautiful, inspiring, and teaching. Gosh, am I blessed by your friendship. I love you guys. Look, from my heart to your home, God's blessings.
We love you too, Janice. Thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Talk soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yes, absolutely.